I thought that was okay. Was that okay? I don't know. What do you think?
I think we've got it.
Cool.
Fair. So, the music that you played is actually written by a computer.
Wow.
When I demoed it at a conference in 2019, I think, people were like freaking out. And these were people who were like in the industry, who were working with AI and intellectual property and publishing and all that stuff. It was like, wow, you know, all this stuff that I've been thinking about and obsessing about and trying to solve for all these years is finally amounting to something. And I promised myself that in 2020, I was gonna just put all of my resources into it 100%. Like everything was gonna go into the Composer Bot. And then as soon as 2020 started, I hurt myself. Coronavirus happened, worked out in a strange sort of way because laying on my back programming was the one thing that I could do. It was like a very high risk kind of endeavor, but ultimately it worked. Once people know it's computer generated, there's an inherent bias because people, you know, for good reason, believe that art is an inherently human endeavor.
We musicians and music industry people are threatened by it, and that's why we dislike it. Not because it can't replicate great music, but because it can.
When artificial intelligence first started making its way into the music sector, that it was usually fans and purists who scoffed at it.
And then they may even explicitly say it, that, you know, we think that this would be better served by a human.
People had difficulty when DJs were using samples of other people's music, but I have a very, very wide view of that, and I've never really seen a separation between technology and musical instrumentation.
One of the interesting things is that AI we see is really expanding the number of people who can express themselves through music.
I think some people are fans of AI music because the same way they're fans of just any technological advance, it makes their lives easier, that makes them not have to think.
The overall kind of response from our community was, you know, if you use AI, especially to create entire songs, you're kind of a fake artist.
Nowadays, these young creators, they want to walk in the studio, any beat playing, say whatever little words they want to say, and then they say, well, I can't sing that well. I want you to hear my talking voice, and then it will sing the song for you.
It's not about AI music or human music. It's going to be a beautiful combination of both.
When the Beatles' AI song came out recently, I was impressed. I wasn't annoyed by anything. I thought the song was good.
There's a purist, I think, that believes that AI will never be good and that they can tell the difference when something is human and something is machine generated. I don't think that's the case. And I think especially as technology gets better, we will find those lines are almost invisible.
Yes, I am a trained musician. So I did undergraduate degree in music and I then went to graduate school at USC. So I know how to make normal music just as well as the computer generated kind. As much as this is an entrepreneurial venture for me, I still very much consider this an art form. You know, I feel that what the program generates is art. What I'm doing is art. It's not easy, and it forces me to try to extract what art really is on a level that is much more profound than you would have to do if you're just using your intuition. But if you're trying to teach a computer to do something, you have to know how you come up with an idea. You have to know what makes an idea good. I'm someone who has both creative and analytical thinking, but my analytical thinking tends to be dominant. But my focus has always been trying to kind of combine those two things because I think that's the most effective way to make art. Someone suggested that I was on the spectrum. When you're a thinking type of person, certain types of tasks that should be easy are actually difficult. I tried to wait tables and I was terrible at it. Well, and I would sit there and think, well, what's the fastest way I could do this? If I put the glasses on one side, put the forks on the other side, and then load the glasses first and then the forks and then the plates, that'll be the most efficient way. And meanwhile, my boss is watching me standing there kind of frozen, doing this math in my head, going, what the hell is wrong with this guy? That was one of the times, that I was kind of wondering, like, what's wrong with me?
I think the human brain is just phenomenal. When I go and see a concert, I am always just astounded because I do ask the question, how did they come up with that?
My whole process really revolves around trying to take the feeling that I have inside, which is usually a product of whatever my environment is, whatever I'm going through in life.
A lot of times when I'm sleeping, I'll think of some kind of strange sentence, and I have a pen and paper next to my bed, and I turn on the light and write it down.
There's a program I like to use called Finale. It's a music manuscript program. And there's a whole set of plugins that you can adjust. Like I could write a melody and tell it, harmonize this, and it'll just go mad, spitting out all sorts of stuff. But ultimately, I'm gonna have to listen back and go, no, yes.
When I was writing with William, we would go to the record store right down the street from his studio, and we would get a couple hundred CDs. We'd go back to his studio, and he would literally put CD after CD and just skip second after second after second until something sparked his imagination, and he would listen to that and be like, oh, we need to do something like this.
There's a derivative nature to almost all art, I believe, that people see others and they're inspired, and then they take that in a different direction.
Popular music now is really not that different from what the notes and chords that people considered to be pleasant sounding in 1600. I wish that in music theory we had something that was the equivalent of the standard model that they have in physics. The theory of classical harmony is not a very good theory. And I've known a lot of people who've tried to write programs that use that as a basis for writing harmonies, and the results are never good. It's a big part of why I'm laboring towards what I'm doing is that I'm seeking this standard model, and I feel that I've mostly got it for at least 70% of what can be done in music. My goal in building the program is to take my method of composing and to codify it so clearly that a machine can do it. Although we may think of emotions as things that are nebulous, the reality is that most emotions could be quantified with some sort of a number.
Music can be, and many times is, written based on academics. These are the rules, these are the parameters, and if I work within them, it's going to come out sounding something like this.
I've spoken to songwriters who've written big hit records who will tell you that they cracked the code of what works in songwriting, and I think to a certain extent that is mathematical.
You're breaking something down into tiny individual pieces. With math, it's equations, and with coding, it's ones and zeros and some sort of programming language. With music, it's notes and it's composition. But I think that it's the art of how mathematicians, coders, musicians put all of these things together.
At some point, a shift happens where the academics work in the background, but there has to be that moment where you're using your instinctual creative impulses in order for anything to come out sounding or being fresh and new and inspired.
I don't think that there's a true math element to music that truly touches people. They're really thinking about the moments that they fell in love, the emotions behind the song. If you can put emotions into zeros and ones, be my guest, but I don't see it.
My product is quite different from some of these other AI-driven products. It doesn't learn. It doesn't ingest music from outside sources and then imitate it in any way. So we're gonna write a song here. It's gonna have 3 sections. Let me just a couple more mouse clicks and we will have the song. Okay, let's see what we got. In terms of the program actually composing it, it only took maybe a hundredth of a second. I've deliberately presented the music to people in different ways because I want to see how they react. So sometimes I'll tell them, this is computer generated, and sometimes I won't. So Chris, what's going to happen now is I'm going to play a piece of music. You ready?
Okay, you bet. Is this your music?
It is, yeah.
That's a great piece.
Thank you.
And it's all very idiomatic. It's right there. And as I'm listening, I'm going, this is music that's born in the mind. There's no keyboard skills, nor your facility with inputting and working with the computer that's going to create the effectiveness of how this orchestra works together as a unit.
So would you be surprised to know that both of those pieces were written by a computer program that I wrote?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, I am surprised. That shows what either a complete nincompoop I am, or what a fucking genius you are, or something,
Right when COVID hit, I said, this is what I'm going to do. The main goal that I wanted to achieve that year was to write a symphony. It starts from zero, and it creates something.
What do you mean you starts from zero? You have to feed its brain with something, right?
That's what a lot of people are doing.
Is that what this is here?
That's not how this one works. This one doesn't use examples. You basically go into the computer and you kind of key in, a description of this is what a rhythm is, this is what a harmony is. And so, you have to give it some limitations, and then you also give it a little bit of freedom, and then you roll the dice, and out comes a song.
It's not for sale yet, is it, or no?
That's not part of the current plan. I know what it's like to struggle as a film composer, and I would hate to see other film composers struggling because this technology is everywhere.
So there are people creating music libraries and making a living doing that. I would imagine that that kind of music is very easily replicated by AI.
I'd be a liar if I say I'm not a little bit nervous that someone's not going to license my music anymore because they could just go to aimusic.com and say, give me some Brian Carson catalog sounding music. And they could get something just as good without dealing with the friction of licensing.
At the time of recording this for Udio, it's reported that the Udio platform is generating over 800,000 sounds per day.
Where society is right now is they see it as a potential replacement for artists. And that is precisely the thing that we are not doing. We view our technology as a creator tool.
It feels like music at this point, it's having a competition with AI. I don't see it like that. It could enhance something or get you out of a block.
There's going to be some changes in the way that music develops as an industry, but that doesn't mean that artists and humans aren't going to ultimately benefit from this.
Some of these people, I think, are going to lose the jobs now, but it's going to change it so that they will find out how to then either use the AI to get more jobs or supersede it.
But I have to believe that we as humans still need that connection with other humans.
There are things about our emotion and our deeply personal experiences and feelings that are not replicable. They're not sentient in computers.
A lot of the great artists have been troubled and have chosen to express themselves with music, and that's very much not a computer-generated thing.
Imagine back in the 50s, but let's just say hypothetically AI was available then. If you said to AI, play me heavy metal music, it'll have no idea.
Yeah, so Udio is an AI technology, and it does this like other AI systems. It learns from existing musical works, and in so doing, creates new works and allows people to express themselves on the basis of that.
There's this ability now to create any genre of music. Where are they getting it from? I mean, it's kind of one of those questions where everybody already knows the answer. You scraped the internet, you scraped every piece of data off of Spotify, Tidal, SoundCloud, everything, feeding in data that humans have already created.
Sony, Universal, Warner, they all came together with some of their subsidiaries and they filed lawsuits against the biggest music AI companies, which are Suno and Udio. And what the labels are claiming is that these platforms went in, downloaded copies of the music, studied from them, and now what these AI platforms are doing is not creating new music. That's a really big piece here. They were saying in their lawsuits that AI platforms are imitating, and therefore it's copyright infringement.
If you feed all Beatles into an AI and it creates a song, how can that not be the Beatles?
I cannot really go into too much details on this because of ongoing litigation, but I would say that we do want to actually work together with rights holders, record labels, publishers, to figure out what's the right way of forging ahead.
It's going to be really messy because AI music is being released now, and nobody has any idea where it will get settled is when there's a huge hit.
I want to thank you guys for being here. There was something that we didn't tell you at the beginning of this show, which is that all of the music that you just heard was written by a computer program. The piece you just heard didn't exist this morning.
I enjoyed the concert, but at the end when he told me it was made by a computer, like my heart sank. I don't like the idea of computers taking the cool jobs.
I feel like my opinion about AI is sort of jaded by everybody else's opinion because I kind of like it.
It didn't change my viewpoint on what the musicians brought forth. That was exquisite. But when I found out that it came from a computer, I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks.
I felt like it was fantastic. I felt the emotion not only from the musicians, but from the pieces themselves. It was a testament to his ability to program, his understanding of music and computer sciences.
Is something being skipped? Where does music come from in the first place? The ether, the gods, the muses. With the AI, where is that process of it coming from somewhere, the unknown, and then out? I don't know.
I don't feel at all that the AI or computer would at all hinder the composer or the human. I believe that they can work together in harmony and create something beautiful like what we saw.
I'm conflicted on one hand because, it takes away from people who have been doing this for a long time on their own, but it gives it to millions of people who can now know what it feels like to create, and that's a powerful feeling.
I mean, it's music. It's the same as if a human were to write it.
AI will force creative people to be more creative and individual. I think that's quite exciting.
I'm building a whole nother project based on AI. What I'm doing is basically getting rid of the headache part of that whole creation process. That's the future of AI to me in music. Is this going to make you realizing a dream easier?
You can never beat the AI. I mean, literally, it can do more than you can do in a lifetime, right? But it can't mess up the same way you're gonna mess up. And I honestly think that's what's going to be the beauty of it. We're gonna see this cultural shift, actually, of a whole generation of people craving music that is praised for its imperfections, praised for its flaws.
And I see these kids, they're hungry for what makes them exist. I don't think they're going to be going to, AI-generated image and go, this is who I am.
I think that being able to live vicariously through our favorite celebrities and musicians and artists and producers, I don't think that's going to go away.
There is no question in my mind that human creativity is going to be fundamental to the human experience, to music, and to art in the AI future.
I was producing a song for a woman whose dad passed away. She wanted to do a duet. The idea came up to get his old tapes and create this AI version of him, and that's what we did. And it's really heartwarming and emotional, and it is art.